Bank recently updated its outlook for GDP. It's below 2% now for economic growth. As we've seen, the Prime Minister promised to have the fastest growing economy in the G7. But given this new adjustment that the bank made, do you think the other G7 countries will outpace Canada in economic growth?
Canada's economic growth is slowing. The latest report shows GDP is now below 2%. The Prime Minister promised Canada would be the fastest growing economy in the G7. But recent forecasts suggest we're falling behind. In Parliament, MPs are grilling the Governor of the Bank of Canada and Deputy Governor on what this means for everyday Canadians. Foreign investment is leaving the country. Businesses are closing their doors. And trade tensions with the United States are rising. Today, we break down this crucial conversation in Parliament. The warnings from Canada's top economic leaders, and what it could mean for your wallet. So stick around, because what they're saying might surprise you.
Certainly, I would agree. Our forecast is for very modest growth. Second half of this year, averaging only 0.75%. We do expect it to pick up, but as I indicated in my remarks, this is a structural adjustment, and so that's going to take some time. So yes, I don't have all the G7 forecasts in front of me, but we're not going to be the fastest growing economy in the G7 over the next year.
I would agree with you. Deputy Governor Rogers, over a year ago, you made this. You basically alerted everyone here. It was a break glass emergency when it came to our productivity. We've seen around $54 billion in foreign investment leave Canada. Businesses are shutting doors. We see it in some of our ridings. We get those emails from constituents. And at a time when Trump is coming for our jobs, has the government done enough, do you think, to reverse this break glass emergency, or have things gotten worse since you said that?
Well, the speech you're talking about I gave in 2024, so it predated the swerve to protectionism by our U.S. trading partner, our biggest trading partner. So I guess the simplest way to put it is, if we had some urgency to fixing our productivity in 2024, we certainly have it now. Like you, we're digesting all of the measures in the budget. We generally agree with the diagnosis that our country's in need of some productive investments. So, on the whole, we think a budget that invests in improving our country's productivity is a good budget. As for the specific measures, those are for you and your colleagues to assess.
In your opinion, though, do you think that we were ready for this tariff war? Would we have been in a better position if we were better prepared?
Well, I think that was one of the points in this speech, is that an improvement in our productivity would help buffer our economy from a variety of shocks, and one of them would be a trade shock. Right.
Thank you. Governor, last week you said in your press conference, and I'm just quoting you, what's most concerning is that unless we change things, our standard of living as a country is going to be lower than it otherwise would have been. I'm not sure if you've seen in the budget or not, but in the budget that was released yesterday by the Liberals, they have a line in here that says, if Canada's productivity growth had matched the U.S. from 2017 to 2023, the median income of a family with one child would be nearly $11,000 higher. Would you agree with this assessment from the budget?
Governor Macklem confirms that Canada won't be the fastest growing G7 economy next year. Deputy Governor Rogers emphasizes the urgent need for productivity investments, especially as trade shocks and tariffs threaten everyday Canadians. $54 billion in foreign investment has already left the country. Businesses are shutting down, and families are feeling the pinch. This isn't just economic theory, it's a real warning. If structural reforms aren't made now, Canada's standard of living could continue to fall.
Well, I can't speak to every number in the budget, but look, broadly speaking, yes, if we'd had U.S. productivity growth, the standard of living of Canadians would be much higher than it is today.
Right. And What do you think are the domestic factors that made you say that are impacting Canadian standard of living today?
Well, what made me say? I mean, there's really two issues here. I mean, we've had a long-standing productivity issue. That's why Senior Deputy Governor sounded the alarm. At that point, we kind of got through COVID. We got inflation down. It was time to get back to some of the longer-term issues, and that one was front and center. A lot has changed in a year, and last week when I said our standard of living was lower, I was really referring to the fact that U.S. tariffs have fundamentally fractured our trade relationship with our biggest trading partner, and unless we do something, that is a big negative structural shock to the Canadian economy. It's going to destroy some capacity. It's going to raise costs. Monetary policy can help smooth that adjustment, but it can't undo the effects of tariffs. But there are if we don't do something about it, our standard of living will be in Canada will be on a permanently lower path. As I intimated in my opening remarks, there are things we can do about it in the country. We need to improve our competitiveness. We need to improve our productivity. We need more investment. Those are the kind of positive structural reforms that could bend the path back up.
When we put this into perspective of an average everyday Canadian, we're seeing today that Canadians are not doing well. We can all agree on that, I believe. Last time, one of your previous visits here, we talked about food bank usage, and food bank usage has doubled since 2019, and more Canadians are visiting a food bank. Can you put that into perspective of how the productivity crisis that we're in right now, when you say standard of living, how does that impact Canadians?
A very brief response, please.
Yeah, it's actually a very important question. We're hearing what you're hearing. Canadians' biggest concern is the cost of living. You ask economists what's the biggest problem, they'll say it's productivity. It's actually, it's the same thing. And why do I say that? I mean, how are we going to make things more affordable? The way to make things more affordable is we've got to have more income.
Sorry,
to get
Governor,
more
I'm
income,
gonna have
we
to
need more productivity.
interrupt you
If we have
to
more income,
keep-
everything's
Governor,
more affordable.
I'm going to have
So what does all this mean for Canadians? The productivity crisis isn't abstract. It impacts daily life. Food bank usage has doubled since 2019. Costs of living are climbing, and wages aren't keeping up with expenses. Governor Macklem stresses the solution is productivity. More productivity means higher income, and higher income makes life more affordable. The budget tries to tackle this with new investments. But Deputy Governor Rogers warns, effectiveness depends on proper execution. Without urgent structural reforms, Canadians could face a permanent decline in their standard of living. This conversation in Parliament is a wake-up call. It's about jobs, wages, and the future of our economy. Comment below. Do you think the government is doing enough to protect Canadians' standard of living? Or is it already too late? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more in-depth breakdowns of crucial issues affecting Canadians today.